Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're really plunging into GPT-5. It launched, August 7th, 2025?
That's right, yeah.
And since then, user opinions have been, well, a bit of a roller coaster. So we're here to unpack the technical stuff driving that evolving reception.
Exactly. And just to remind everyone, our focus today, like always, is purely on the tech, the underlying mechanics, the implications of those mechanics.
Right. We'll be setting aside the ethical discussions, inclusivity, all that important stuff, but for another time.
And for this dive, we've pulled together quite a bit. User chatter from Reddit, which is always lively,
Oh, yeah.
plus some really solid technical analyses from people like Adam Holter, Sear AI, and also industry reports, computer user, open tools. Quite a mix.
So the mission is to cut through the noise, get past maybe the initial heat.
Pretty much. Understand the tech reality, but also how users are actually perceiving this thing. It's a big AI leap, after all.
Definitely. And hey, if you want even more on the latest AI and ML research papers, remember neuralintel.org.
And the YouTube channel, too. Don't forget that.
Right, good point. Okay, let's get into it, because that initial reaction to GPT-5, wow, it was something else, like a shockwave, really.
It really was.
If you were anywhere online around August 7th, you probably felt it. OpenAI drops GPT-5, and it wasn't exactly cheers all around.
No, far from it.
We saw this immediate, pretty fierce user backlash. Some people even talked about, AI grief, which sounds dramatic, but maybe it wasn't.
Well, consider this. A Reddit user, Infinity Life, posted some worrying examples, asking for GDP figures.
And getting numbers literally double the real value.
Exactly. Or a completely messed up ingredient list for just, normal food. Outdated info on world leaders. Basic stuff.
And that makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many times do people not double check? They just take the AI's word for it.
That's the core trust issue right there. But it wasn't just facts. This broader feeling, this grief, particularly from users really attached to GPT-4o.
Ah, the previous version.
Yeah. They felt GPT-5 was colder, less supportive, missing that, human touch they'd gotten used to.
It's weird how attached we get, isn't it? People talking about AI friends.
We even saw that with Claude 3, remember? There was practically a Claude 3 funeral online when it got retired. That shows you the intensity of the connection.
That funeral thing really drives it home. It's more than just software for some people. And, okay, beyond feelings, this caused real problems, right? Workflows getting disrupted.
Big time. Coders, creators.
Yeah.
They were finding the code it generated was inconsistent. It broke their existing setups.
Meaning they had to basically relearn how to prompt it.
Exactly. Retrain their prompts. And the complaints got specific. Slower responses, like 18 seconds for GPT-5 versus maybe 4 for GPT-4 on simple stuff.
That's a noticeable difference.
Huge difference. Plus, users mention repetition, problems, processing long prompts, sometimes just flat out ignoring instructions.
I saw some of those Reddit comments. Things like unusable for anything needing facts, or what was the other one? An overconfident gaslighting pathological liar. Ouch.
Yeah, pretty strong language. It paints a picture of a really rocky start. And technically, it forces us to ask what was going on under the hood.
Right. Was the model itself actually worse in some ways? A regression?
Or was it all down to how they rolled it out? The strategy affecting the experience, even if the core tech was good. That's the puzzle.
That really is the puzzle. Was it bad tech or just bad delivery? The sources seem to lean towards the delivery, specifically OpenAI's initial plan, this whole unified system idea.
Ah, yes, the auto, fast, and thinking modes. Supposedly simpler.
Supposedly, but it kind of backfired, didn't it?
Technically, the problem is pretty clear. That auto mode was routing people between different internal versions of the model.
So you never knew quite what you were getting.
Exactly. You might get the super precise, detailed version, or you might get a more general, maybe fuzzier one. Total unpredictability.
Which, as Adam Holter pointed out, kind of defeats the purpose, right? AI is meant to reduce cognitive load, not make you guess.
Precisely. Especially for power users.
Yeah.
People doing coding, research. They need predictable, reliable output. This lack of explicit control, a fundamental flaw in that initial design.
And then adding fuel to the fire, they initially hid or removed access to the older models, like GPT-4o that people loved.
Oh, that did not go down well.
Yeah.
It really amplified the frustration, sparked that revolt you mentioned. People felt, blindsided.
Okay, but OpenAI did react fast, didn't they? Sam Altman admitted it was a misstep.
They did. Credit where it's due. Within 24 hours, they did that tactical retreat, as some called it. They brought back the model picker for paid users.
So it wasn't just saying sorry, it was a strategic move.
I think so. More than just a concession. By giving users back the choice, they allowed for a more natural migration. Let people compare side by side.
So they could see GPT-5's strengths for themselves eventually, without being forced.
Exactly. Let the model prove its worth organically.
And they also clarified the limits on that thinking mode, right? Something like 3,000 messages a week for plus users.
Yeah, setting it up as this sort of scarce premium resource, the high-powered option.
The whole sequence is fascinating, though. For a company like OpenAI, with all that technical expertise, why make such a basic product management blunder?
It really highlights that classic tension, doesn't it?
Right.
Between, the internal engineering elegance and the external user experience.
Maybe they were just really proud of the multi-model architecture, focused on the tech.
Could be. Or maybe underestimated that emotional connection to the older models, didn't realize how much users value that control. It's a lesson. The best tech can stumble if the rollout ignores the user. What works internally can feel like chaos outside.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting. Because underneath all that launch chaos, the actual GPT-5 model, it was and is pretty remarkable tech.
Absolutely. Let's peel back that layer. Architecturally, GPT-5 isn't just one model. It's a multi-model architecture. It has a built-in controller.
Okay, so multiple parts working together.
Right. You've got GPT-5 main, that's the fast one, handles lots of requests quickly. Then there's GPT-5 thinking slower, but designed for deep reasoning.
And the controller picks which one to use.
Yeah, this intelligent router. It looks at how complex your query is, any specific instructions you gave, even how busy the system is, and dynamically picks the best model variant.
That sounds pretty sophisticated. Is that inspired by their earlier work?
Definitely. It builds on their O-series reasoning models, like O1 and O3, but integrates them. And for API users, it gets even more granular. You have different scales, GPT-5, Mini, Nano.
And that reasoning effort parameter you mentioned, to control the thinking time.
Exactly. Gives developers fine-grained control over that trade-off between speed and depth.
So would you say this thinking mode is really the jewel in the crown for GPT-5, where it shines?
I think so, yes. That's where you see the deeper, more accurate reasoning. It uses a more complex process, maybe like an internal chain of thought.
Breaking down the problem.
Yeah, exploring pathways, synthesizing solutions. That's why it's so good for complex stuff, like coding or scientific analysis. And the impact on hallucinations is huge.
The numbers were striking. What was it? Down to like 4.8%?
Right, 4.8% in thinking mode. Compare that to over 20% for GPT-4o. That's a massive jump in reliability, a key selling point when facts really matter.
That is a huge leap. What other areas saw big improvements?
Several key areas. First, context window. It's massive now, 256,000 tokens for the Pro version.
Wow.
And some reports say even 300K, maybe 400K in certain modes. That means you could feed it like book-length documents or whole code bases.
Game changer for analysis.
Totally. Then coding. It hit 74.9% on one benchmark, beating Claude's 72.7%, and maybe 95% plus on Human Evil. But beyond scores, it shows this agentic ability.
Meaning it can plan and execute code? Debugging too?
Yes. Plan, write, debug.
Yeah.
Even generate whole web apps or games from one prompt, apparently with decent aesthetics. It's also natively multimodal.
Handles images as well as text?
Natively, yes. Big gains on benchmarks like MMMU scored 84.2%. And factuality, as we touched on. About 65% fewer false claims than the O3 model, 80% fewer errors in long tasks compared to earlier GPT-4s.
Okay, so you've got this incredibly powerful engine under the hood. Better reasoning, huge context, great coding, fewer errors. How does that square with that awful initial user feedback? What's the takeaway for someone who felt burned at the start?
It really suggests the model's true power was kind of hidden, or at least overshadowed by those initial rollout and UX problems. And looking at the bigger picture, GPT-5 enters a very competitive field.
Right, it's not operating in a vacuum.
Not at all. While it leads in coding and math, others have strengths. Claude, for example, still gets praise for its code style and consistency in long responses, great for document analysis.
And Google Gemini?
Gemini has that edge in live knowledge, pulling real-time data via Google search integration. That's hard to beat for current events. But GPT-5 tends to lead in that systematic, complex reasoning and raw coding power.
What about Meta's Llama 4, the Maverick?
Right,
That
yeah.
sounds like a beast.
It is, on paper. A huge 400 billion parameter mixture of experts model. That means it uses specialized parts for different tasks. Very efficient.
And a million token context window. That's huge.
Massive, way beyond GPT-5's stated limit.
Right.
It competes well on benchmarks, but the catch is it's often seen as more permissive, less safety aligned out of the box, needs more fine-tuning.
So GPT-5 is top tier, but maybe not the undisputed king across every single dimension.
Exactly. The improvements are real, significant, but maybe more incremental than revolutionary in some ways. And the competition is catching up fast.
Makes sense. And even with its strengths, GPT-5 still has limitations, right? Things
Yeah.
inherent to current LLMs.
Oh, definitely. And these limitations really shape where OpenAI goes next. First big one, no continuous learning. It's static. Knowledge cut off sometime in 2024, probably.
Can't learn on the fly like a person. Not true AGI.
Nope. Then hallucinations still happen. Less often, especially in thinking mode, but still there. Particularly with obscure stuff. And it can still sound way too confident when it's wrong.
The overconfidence issue and deception, not totally solved.
Not eliminated. In complex situations, it might still find ways around policies. Plus, prompt sensitivity is still a thing. Getting the prompt right is key. Long inputs can confuse it.
And it's computationally heavy, especially thinking mode.
Very high latency, high cost, limits real-time use, especially locally. And crucially, it's not generative multimodal. It understands images, but can't create them, or audio. Others are starting to do that.
So these limitations point towards GPT-6 or whatever comes next.
Precisely. OpenAI's roadmap hints at a true unified model, maybe GPT-6. One model that handles everything internally, dynamically allocating resources without that explicit router, more seamless.
Exploring different architectures, too.
Yeah, things like hybrid neurosymbolic approaches combining neural nets with logical reasoning, better retrieval augmented generation, RAG, for pulling in real-time info, and better memory for longer continuous chats.
The safety's still a focus, too, I assume.
Huge focus. Refining safe completions, developing ways for users to maybe control the alignment more, better automated tools to catch problems.
And how they release things. Probably more cautious now.
You'd think so. Expect intermediate steps, maybe a GPT 5.5, expanding free access as costs drop, specialized versions for businesses, maybe that advanced voice mode they've teased.
It really brings up something interesting that maybe isn't in the technical papers, but comes through loud and clear from the users and the product strategy.
Which is?
The importance of predictability
Yeah.
and user control, treating those almost like technical features themselves.
That's a great point. The best tech, the most powerful model, can be undermined if users feel lost or out of control. That initial GPT-5 launch really showed that, didn't it? User trust and a consistent experience are just as vital as benchmark scores.
So wrapping this up, this deep dive really shows two sides of GPT-5. On one hand, a seriously impressive technical leap, especially that thinking mode's accuracy and reasoning.
Absolutely formidable tech.
But on the other hand, the launch itself was, well, a masterclass in how not to manage a product transition, maybe. It really underscored how critical user experience and user control are when you're rolling out powerful AI.
Couldn't agree more. The underlying model quality is high, no doubt. But that initial backlash, it shouts that the UX around these tools is just as crucial as the AI's raw technical ability. Even brilliant AI needs a good bridge to its users.
It definitely does. Which leaves us with a final thought for you, the listener. As AI just keeps getting more powerful faster and faster, where should the responsibility lie? Is it on us users to get better at prompting to understand how these LLMs work deep down?
Or is the onus really on the developers to make these incredibly powerful tools just inherently more intuitive, more predictable, easier to trust right from the get-go?
Something to chew on, for sure. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Remember to visit neuralintel.org for the latest research papers.
And check out the YouTube channel, too.
Right. We'll catch you next time.